I'd like to talk this morning about the word on the board here, the word Om, which has become well known in the West. Some people have T-shirts, some people have necklaces, some people even have tattoos. But what does the word Om mean? What does it signify? This is what I'd like to explore this morning, a little bit. It's an astonishing fact that all of these bodies here, about 90 or so, I'm not sure, all of the plants and flowers outside, all began as seeds, tiny, tiny seeds, the human bodies, which you couldn't possibly see with the naked eye. And somehow these seeds contain the potential for what is to grow from them. The word Om can be considered as the original seed, the seed of seeds, you could say. And it contains within it the potential, the knowledge and intelligence for everything which has manifested and which may manifest. So it's infinite, and it would be quite impossible to give a definitive description of what this word means. It's only possible to touch upon one tiny aspect of it. Nevertheless, this is what we'll do, and I hope we'll do it in a way which is relevant to us. Now, what I'm going to be speaking on is based on an Upanishad. The Upanishads are ancient texts, philosophical texts. The particular Upanishad I'm thinking of is called the Māndukya Upanishad. If you take up the book and look at it, it can seem a little esoteric, a little recondite, a little difficult to understand. A great sage wrote a commentary on it. And if you look at the commentary, that can look a bit esoteric. And another great sage wrote a commentary on the commentary. So we'll do our best. As I say, at first it looks difficult, but it isn't difficult. It may seem not relevant to where we are today, in this day and age, in this place, but it is relevant. What the Upanishad says is that the word Om is divided into three letters, or made up of three letters. The first is the letter A. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Not the inner world, the outer world. The Upanishad says that the letter A signifies the outer world. Everything that we can see, this whole great creation. From where I'm standing, I can see a part of the lovely garden here, full of greenery. The outer world, everything either on a small scale or a universal scale. We look up at the stars at night. This is part of the outer manifest creation. The Upanishad says that this is represented by, or denoted by, the first letter A. It goes on to say that somebody who understands this, who experiences the universe in this way, there are two characteristics. Such a person pervades the outer world and attains the outer world. To take some examples, a gardener, let's say, pervades the garden in the sense that his or her attention goes everywhere in the garden, to every plant, to every flower, to all the grass, to the soil, to every tree, even the weeds. The gardener's attention, the good gardener, his or her attention pervades everywhere. In this sense, the gardener pervades the garden. If we take another example, the owner of a business, again, his or her attention will pervade the entire business, every aspect of it. Sales, purchases, finance, everything. People. The good business owner will pervade every part of the operation. Sometimes the attention slips, and there's some part of the business which the owner misses, isn't aware of. There can be dark corners sometimes. And as often as not, unhelpful things happen in dark corners. And what wasn't seen raises its head in a rather unpleasant fashion. It's better for the attention to pervade everywhere all the time, if you can. The head of a school, any kind of school, again, his or her attention will pervade everything. All the people involved, the premises, everything. So this is the first way that we might experience the self and the universe in the sense of the outer world. Such a person pervades everywhere and also attains, the Upanishad says. This can be understood in the sense of, going back to our examples, the garden becomes part of the gardener. The business becomes part of the owner. The school becomes part of the head. They're not separate. And I'm sure in many, many different ways we'd all have experience of this in one form or another. The attention goes out, it's embraced, it's pervaded, and whatever it is, it's part of you, be it a family or anything, I don't know. This is how the Upanishad begins. We can experience the self, the universe, in the sense of the outer world. Now, the second letter is U. What's said here is that the person who is familiar with this, who is at home with this, who experiences the universe in this way, the current of knowledge becomes strong in such a person. Let's take a scientist who is busy investigating or researching some particular scientific project or something of this nature, day in, day out. The current of knowledge in that person for that subject will be strong. They'll be aware of not only what they're discovering, but what other people have been discovering, what other people have discovered, what remains to be discovered, and so on. I used to act as a lawyer, a barrister, and it's striking on stopping doing that, the observation about the current of knowledge. Because when engaged in something like the practice of law, all day long, every day, you're researching cases, talking about cases, and so on and so forth. And it's amazing how much knowledge is picked up without really trying very much, or without recognizing what's happening. And it's only when you step out of it, and you look back after a year or two, and you see the current of knowledge which is now far away from you. It's possible to appreciate that there is a current of knowledge, but you're now out of it. And then after 20 years, you're very far away from it. And so it goes on. We have people in the school who are extremely devoted to various studies, such as Sanskrit, Plato, Ficino, economics, and Shakespeare, and they kind of live for this, or they're so in love with what they're doing that all the time they're looking at things and looking at what other people have said and gaining new insights. And it's obvious in such cases, with such people, the current of knowledge is strong. And it's therefore possible to go and say, can you help on what does this mean, what does this signify? And they're so pleased to be asked, and usually they know the answer straight away, or if they don't, they're happy to go away and find out the answer. So it's a lovely thing, the current of knowledge. We send our children to school so that they may receive a current of knowledge. It starts off very basic, reading and writing, and later on it may develop into something much more sophisticated, but we want our children to experience a current of knowledge, and we want that current of knowledge to be strong in them. So this is one of the characteristics of someone who experiences the universe in the sense of the inner world, the world of knowledge, the world of ideas, which is vast. We can think the outer world is vast, but the inner world, in a way, is even more vast. If somebody seeks to know and realize their true self, the current of self-knowledge becomes strong. The current of spiritual knowledge. This happens naturally. The Upanishad also says that such a person is equal with all, with everyone. It says that nobody envies this person. They're all friendly with this person. In the examples I gave of people who are devoted to studying such things as Plato or Sanskrit or Shakespeare, the observation is that they're all very happy to give their knowledge, to share their knowledge with anyone and everyone. They're not holding back. They're not saying, well, I like you and I'll share my knowledge with you, but I don't like you and so I won't share my knowledge with you. These people are happy to share whatever they can with whoever they can. Now, it's true that one person may have a greater capacity to receive that knowledge than another person, but that's a secondary matter. The main thing is that they are generous with their knowledge. And people like that. They're friendly with their knowledge, and as a result, people are friendly with them. As a result, there's an equality, a unity. You can get in academic circles sometimes people being rather jealous of their knowledge and always wanting to be accredited with their knowledge and raised on a pedestal with their knowledge, and they don't want anyone else coming and pretending it's their knowledge, and so it can get a bit like that. But that's another situation, because it doesn't necessarily promote friendliness and equality. It can do quite the opposite. But when it's working naturally and purely, it results in this sense of unity and equality. Whatever I've got, whatever I know, you can have. This is the idea. So this is the inner world as described by the Upanishad. Now, the last is the letter ma, without the r, just the n sound. We'll sound this in due course so you get the sense of it. The letter ma represents the causal world. We can get a sense of this in deep sleep. We go to bed at night and hopefully we experience a nice, good, deep sleep. And everything about us dissolves into that deep sleep. All the ideas we have about ourselves, our attitudes, our foibles, whatever it may be, the association with our bodies, they all disappear in deep sleep. When we wake up, as if by magic, they all come back again. Deep sleep is a bit like the causal world. Everything is held there, but it's not manifest. It's like you could go out at night and everything would be there, all the trees and plants would be there, but you couldn't see them. We've had the internet, the World Wide Web, for, I'm not sure, 30, 40 years, thereabouts. And it's now a significant part of everyone's life. But 30 or 40 years ago, if somebody had been standing here talking about the World Wide Web, everyone would think, what on earth is he speaking about? Because 30 or 40 years ago, it was unmanifest. The knowledge, you could say, was there in the causal world, but it wasn't manifest. Somehow or other, it was made manifest. And now it's very manifest. Sometimes it almost seems too manifest. But there it is. This is the nature of the causal world, and what the Upanishad says is the person who understands this. I'm sorry, I'm doing another mistake. Measures everything and absorbs everything. The causal world contains all the measures, in the sense of all the knowledge, as with the example of the World Wide Web, as with the example of a seed which is going to give birth to a body. All the measures are held in that seed, which will in due course manifest. To take another example, in a court of law, a judge will hear the argument from this side, we'll hear the argument from that side, and having heard everything, we'll give, we hope, a measured judgment. Having heard everything, considered everything, the proper measure is arrived at, and the dispute, whatever it is, comes to some kind of resolution. This is to give some indication of the nature of the causal world. And likewise, such a person who's familiar with this realm absorbs everything. If you're fortunate enough to meet a wise person, this can be one of the qualities, that one person may come with this insight or question, and the sage seems to absorb that. Another person comes with another insight or question, and the sage absorbs that. Another person comes with some objection or unhappiness, and the sage absorbs that. And somehow in absorbing, things are brought to rest. And maybe we've experienced this ourselves. If we've had some question or some difficulty in life, if we go to someone who we think has some wisdom, and if what we say is spoken out and heard attentively and absorbed by that person, even that fact, that very fact, itself can be helpful. Whatever advice may or may not be given, just the fact that it's been heard and absorbed by someone is valuable. It's being heard and absorbed at this level, the causal level. If somebody's attention is too scattered, too agitated, then they can't hear it properly and they can't absorb it properly. The result is that the person seeking help isn't really helped. So these three letters make up the word O. I'd just like to sound this together, just so we appreciate how this happens. So first of all, can we just open our mouths, open our throats, and open our hearts and sound Very nice, lovely. Once more. Now, with the lips coming together. And again. Very nice. And finally. Good. Again. So we have the R sound, the U sound, and the Ma sound. Now the R and the U, when you put them together, become O. There's an R and an U, and sort of midway between the two is O. So let's sound R. Just wait for me. R, U, O. R, U, O. Lovely. Again. Now, Om. Again. And once more. Very nice. And the word Om conveys a sense of stillness and silence. It has a kind of magic to it. It's made up of A, U, and Ma. The Upanishad describes the word Om as having 4 quarters, and it's like a dollar. The A is the first 25 cents. The U is 50 cents. The Ma is 75 cents. And the word Om is a complete dollar. In America, they have the phrase, another day, another dollar. So, what about the dollar? We've considered 25 cents, we've considered 50 cents, and we've considered 75 cents. What about the complete dollar? The Upanishad expands on this, and it says, really, this is indescribable. It's beyond the ability of the mind to circumscribe it. It's beyond any worldly dealings. But the Upanishad also takes mercy and gives us some indications of what the dollar is like, what the Om is like. And really, in doing this, it's giving us indications of what we are really like. It says the person who understands this experiences the minimization and cessation of worldly identifications and attachments. The Sanskrit is prapancho pashamam. The word prapancha means the creation, and upashamam means to minimize and cease. So the attachments, the identifications with the world reduce. They don't all disappear in one go, but they reduce little by little. Ultimately, they cease altogether. Rather like rivers flowing into an ocean, the ocean absorbs them all. So, this is the first description of the word Om. Then the Upanishad goes on to say that this is peaceful, unchanging. The word is shantam, shanta, which means peaceful. The next description is the word Shiva, which means propitious, auspicious. When in the school we introduce people to meditation, there's a traditional way of doing this, which connects the meditation with the whole tradition of meditation, connects it with something much greater than the individual. And the idea is that this creates an auspicious beginning of the person's meditation. Even in worldly terms, something like the Olympic Games, they have an opening ceremony. And the purpose of the opening ceremony is to bring everything together, but also to connect the Olympic Games with the whole Olympic movement, which dates back to times in ancient Greece. And so the opening ceremony gives it a significance which it otherwise might not have. It creates an auspicious beginning. The mark of a wise person is that he or she will be able to turn a situation which is apparently adverse or difficult, will be able to find what is true or good in that situation and make it auspicious. The hallmark of a foolish person who lacks wisdom is that he or she may have somehow inherited an auspicious situation, and they'll make it inauspicious. They'll spoil it. So it's saying the nature of our true self is auspicious. It's propitious. Good things will flow from it. The last description given in the Upanishad is the word advaitam, which means one without a second. The person who understands this is complete, not lacking anything. It's common enough for people to think that they lack something, so they go and, I don't know, do a degree in this or a degree in that, or try and buy a bigger house or a better car, and so it goes on, all because of a sense of lacking something. The true self doesn't lack anything. So, the nature of the word Om is that with this, our desires, our attachments, our identifications begin to reduce and then cease altogether. We experience peace. We find that which is auspicious. And we experience ourselves as whole and complete, and not the sense of other. Now, in the school, our aim is that everyone might experience their true self, represented here by the word Om, in this way. We can recognize and enjoy and participate in the outer world, equally the inner world and the causal world. And they help each other. If our attention is good in the outer world, if we can pay attention nicely to things, somehow this makes entry into the inner world easy. Just that simple ability to attend. And if the current of knowledge becomes strong in a natural, pure way, then there's a connection with the causal world. Sometimes it's observed that people, if somebody's agitated or anxious or unhappy, they might find it difficult to go to sleep at night. That tends to make them even more anxious and agitated and unhappy. But assuming that the connection with the causal world, or the entry into the causal world, is a natural one, it leads easily into entry into the self. So all these three play a part. We can't and shouldn't think that the outer world is going to disappear and that we don't have to bother with it in any way, because that's just illusory. Nor should we think the inner world doesn't matter, because it does matter. The ideas, the knowledge which is held there are all important. They create the world about us. And likewise, the causal world, it may not be so obvious, but we might recognize when somebody has a certain sort of weight or substance to them, not weight in the physical sense, but a certain substance or stature. And the person who's got that substance or stature, it's an indication of somehow having appreciated this causal world. And then the characteristics of the self itself, as I've described. This is something of what the Upanishad says. It's impossible to describe the word Om in every possible aspect and dimension because it's limitless. This is but one description of it. But I hope it's possible for us to see that it's practical, it's relevant, it's immediate, and this document, composed thousands of years ago, is as helpful today, even in translation, as it might have been all those thousands of years ago. This is what I wanted to say. Thank you very much.